Right, so let's get started. I'm going to create a new project, and this will be module 2, week 2. Okay, and this goes into my D drive. All right, so just go ahead and find that and then drag in the Brooklyn building. So that's an alembic, so we'll drop it in here. So I've already extracted this, it's a compressed file, and then inside you've got these different LODs, all the same building with different level, amounts of polygons inside. So I'm going to be using LOD 2. You can use, to get the same results, you would do the same, but you can play around with the others. So let's grab a geometry node, and we'll call this building. Okay, let's press P to get our parameters. Great, and then dive inside, press I, grab an alembic. Okay, and I just remembered to save the project, save the HIP file. Okay, so what are we doing here? So reverse gravity. Yeah. Kind of like a tractor beam thing. And then we'll go into HIP, Alembic, version 1. I'm going to use, like I said, LOD 2. So if we press spacebar and F, you can see that it's way too big. So as per usual, we need to make this smaller. It's just that old kind of Houdini scale thing, meters, and other things work in centimeters, I think. So pointer 1 normally gets you close to what you want, so 10 meters there. Yeah, it's roughly right. So there's our model. We've got, let me unpack this and just take a look at we'll grab that path attribute that can be useful. So if we take a look on the primitives there, we'll have like materials, or see, this really handy is telling you door. In our case, we're not going to get into that much detail with that, but really, really useful for fracturing when we know what's wood, what's a door, where does this, what materials am I looking at here? What am I constraining you to, stuff like that. In our case, we're going to be doing, something really simple, but it's a good idea to see what information you have whenever you bring in your geometry and you're starting out. Also, if you press 9 on your keyboard, go into 3D connectivity, so you can see the separate pieces. So things like the tiles, are they all separate floating pieces, or is this one piece of geometry which is just extruded in a different way? So that's nice. When we fracture this, they'll all be separated. We don't have to look for a way of, I don't know how you would fracture all of them separately if it was one piece. Maybe in a lower, I think, yeah, actually, if we go to LOD 1 there, now you can see it's just all one piece. Okay, it's just kind of fused together, which would be really difficult to get a nice fracture out of this. So we'll go back up to LOD 2, which, still we've got loads of nice details here. Like I said, all the separate tiles, these wooden panels, the windows, everything. So that's great. Another thing you can do, I recommend doing, is dropping the exploded view. Just plug that in and we'll create a name attribute internally. And you use that to identify pieces. Okay. And then you can get an even better look of, what you're starting off with. And it's a good idea to, when you shrink it down, see if you've got lots of pieces overlapping, that can be problematic. Just seeing there, so things like that. Again, in our case, it's pretty simple simulation. It's not too big of a problem. Yeah, that's our building. We'll be prepping this up. I'm not going to be doing too many complex fracturing operations to it, but we'll end up with a cool simulation at the end.